I got out there and I started vlogging like the first couple days, and then I quickly realized it is way too hard.
Like, do you put on like an act a little bit?
I just feel like I'm like, okay, I'm another like white chick posting on YouTube. The trail family that we were hanging with for that week, it quickly turned to like, okay, yeah, they're kind of weird, so then we wouldn't anymore.
Geez.
Yeah.
Talking shit about the family. I love it, dude. This show is slowly turning into like a drama show, I'm not gonna lie. How do you feel about being called an influencer?
Am I called an influencer?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Trail Tales. My name is Kyle O'Grady. I am a huge hiking nerd, and every single week on this podcast, I chat with other hiking nerds about their experiences on the trail. This is the second ever in-person episode of Trail Tales, video episode, I should say, and it's going to be a good one. You got to hit subscribe. If you're watching this, you should see how many cameras and lights and microphones and other bullshit I have set up right now. You gotta you gotta subscribe to the Trail Tales YouTube channel if you're watching this. And if you're listening on audio, just trust me, there's a lot of cameras and lights and other bullshit, so you got to leave a 5-star review for that as well. I'm serious. Every podcast says that. I actually mean it. Go do it, please. With that said, I'd like to welcome Jessika Poppe.
That's right.
To the show. Jessika, thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah,
and,
of course.
I'm stoked.
Yeah, thanks for having us, for sure.
So let's start by just getting an introduction. This is the first time we've met. We literally met like 30 minutes ago. It's kind of like we're both in the online hiking world, but first time meeting. I know you've done the AT. I know you've done some other stuff as well. I don't know too much really as far as the details go, and we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
Actually, that's probably the best place to start. Can you kind of just give like an overview of what you've hiked and who you are?
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Jessika. My trail name is Taps. I basically got that because I like beer, craft beer. I've known about beer basically since like 2014. I worked at a World of Beer and I opened
You've known about beer? Like when you first discovered beer in 2014?
Like I know
I told you I was
going to
give you a hard time a little bit.
So I opened up the World of Beer in downtown Orlando. So I just learned a lot about craft beer.
Wait, you opened?
Yeah.
Like you opened?
It's my store. No, I'm just kidding. No, like I helped open that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as a bartender, beer tender.
I went to one of those in Savannah, Georgia one time.
They're so fun. I mean, I think they're still a thing. I haven't been to one in like forever.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
But I had to know about like 550 different beers at any given moment. So I had to learn a lot of memorizing, and we had to do like a whole study about it. But anyway, so for me, I was kind of like an athlete first. So like in 2018, or actually taking it back in like 2014, I did bodybuilding, which is like the complete opposite of hiking. So I was like really into the gym, kind of had like a good base and was really active, was really fit. And then kind of just found hiking because of trail running and obstacle course races. So just really wanted to get out in the woods and just spend like hours and hours in the woods. And then I actually found out about the Appalachian Trail from Julia Sheehan, actually.
Oh, really? I was going to ask you how you learned about the AT.
Yeah, in 2019, I was just scrolling on Instagram and I saw she was hiking it. And I'm like, okay, this is pretty epic. Otherwise, I'm from Florida, so I had no idea what the AT was. I mean, I say Appalachian Trail, so that tells you how much I know instead of Appalachian or whatever.
That's a whole nother discussion.
Right.
How to pronounce it. You should see the YouTube comments I
bet.
Especially on like shorts that like really blow up and
yeah.
I'm going to throw an apple at you if you keep calling it apple. Yeah, anyways.
Listen, I'm a Floridian. I say Appalachian just because that's all I know. But so being in Florida, like we didn't really have anything like that. I mean, we of course have the Florida Trail now that I know about. Tried to hike it in 2022, but got super sick, so I couldn't. But I've done a couple 100 miles on that trail. But pre-COVID, found out about the AT from Julia, and I was like, this looks amazing. And so kind of dove completely head first, started buying all of the gear and everything. So then in 2020, I was going to be ready. And then the big bad COVID happened. So then I couldn't do it. So
that's one thing I actually didn't realize until we were talking beforehand. I knew that you hiked in 2021, but I didn't know that you were one of the 2020 folks who got run off the trail. What happened? Like actually take a step back. How far in were you when you ended up going home?
So I was actually still at mile 0.0. So thankfully, but I was at that Amicalola Falls. So I was at the resort there, whatever it's called, I forget. But like I was at like the lodge there getting ready to start. And then so I was going to be vlogging for the trek back then in 2020. And Zach basically sent us an email as well as the ATC. We basically got like the email that exact morning that I was getting ready to start.
Like you're literally like standing under the arch.
Yes, literally. And they were like, hey, you better not. And I'm like, I'm a rule follower. So I'm like, okay, like I can't. And so it was completely heartbreaking.
I was going to say that must have been, I can't even imagine. I'm trying to think about what would be worse. If you were already like a little bit into the trail or if it was on the exact day, like happened to you. I feel like if it was, I mean, obviously, no matter when your hike gets canceled like that, it's going to suck ass. But I'm trying to think if it'd be worse. I think if you were like maybe a week or two or even a month before you were going to start and then you had to cancel, like it still sucks. Don't get me wrong. But like, I feel like that'd be a little easier to process. Being like a week or two into the trail or roughly, I forget where Taylor, New Hampshire was. But
she was like at least 100 in. I
feel
like.
She might have been first. I feel like she might have even been.
No, I think she was at the not Franconia, that's freaking New Hampshire, Fontana Dam.
Yeah, that sounds
I think
about
I remember
right.
seeing her
we
picture.
Don't know. Comment, Taylor. I know you're going to watch this, Taylor.
She was in Fontana. Because I was following, all the people who were going to hike in 2020. And I'm like, oh, getting so hyped. Like, let's go. We're going to get ready to start. And then kind of seeing where everybody was. And then they're all like slowly getting off trail. And I'm like, wow, this is really a thing. Like we can't hike.
The day that you were going to start. So you were literally, that's insane.
Yeah.
Like, what if you made it all the way to the top of Springer Mountain and then you like got some service and you were like, oh shit. I mean, at that point it's like, what's the difference? But
I don't know. So then in 2021, when I finally was like, okay, maybe I do want to hike, I kind of gave myself like a 100-mile buffer, because think of it this way too. Like I basically had to tell my job like, hey, I'm doing a leave of absence. I'm going to go on this crazy 6-month adventure, BRB. And then I get to the start and I can't. And then I have to tell them like, hey, just kidding. Can I have my job back? And then in 2021, I was like, hey, I think I might want to do this crazy thing that I said I was going to do last year, but like, I'm scared to like completely commit, like honestly, commitment issues. And so I did the first 100 miles as like a buffer to be like, okay, do I like the culture out here? Do I even like this class of people? Because like I loved the class of 2020 because that was going to be like my group. Mm-hmm. And then 21 was basically all the same 2020 people. So I went out there, did the first 100 and I'm like, okay, this is amazing. And then I went back home for like a couple weeks, finalized some things, and then I was like officially back out there for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn. What a whirlwind.
Yeah, it was wild. It was wild.
That's insane. Yeah, I didn't realize that you had had tried to do it in 2020. Yeah. Man, it feels like so long ago now, but I remember feeling so bad for everybody that year, especially Taylor, because like at that point, actually no, we hadn't met each other yet on her in 2020, but we were friends still, and so. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I was really proud of her for like going back out in 21 and literally starting from Springer again and then like going back up to Fontana or wherever that she got off, because like more power to her. But like we can talk about like my hiking style. That's not my hiking style. I would have picked right back up at Fontana.
Even if it was only like, what's that, couple, not even, what I don't even remember.
It's like over like a couple hundred. No way. I think it's
Fontana?
Like, yeah, I think so.
Do you know, Hunter?
Fontana Dam? No, I can look it up though.
That's like.
Can you be our fact checker?
Wait, maybe it is. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But yeah, I probably.
I mean, it's definitely over 100 for sure.
Like
like a significant amount.
I still probably would have picked right back up where I left off at. Like,
that's a tough decision. Yeah. I've never asked her like what, or if she even considered that, but. I don't know. Leave a comment, Taylor. Yeah. Like I said, you're probably going to watch this. So
I'm definitely not like a purist by any means. Like we're almost considered kind of like platinum blazers if you want.
What's platinum blazing?
Kind of like if you're going to opt for like a better hotel versus like a hotel or like a hostel bunk. If there is like a better option, like you kind of choose that option.
How is that? How does that not make you a purist though? Because I thought purist was like, it only concerns like the miles that you're hiking.
No, right. So I guess a different thing. So I'm definitely not a purist when it comes to like, oh, like if there's like a blue blaze, you know what I mean? To like go around to go see a view, but like maybe that cuts off like white blaze miles, then like so be it. But like I'm not gonna like retrace my steps, but more so like platinum blazing as far as like whenever you're in town, if there is a nicer place, like we probably would stay there instead.
Oh yeah, me too, for sure. Yeah. Especially my on the PCT in 2022. Like on the AT, I was pretty broke. even then, like,
Yeah.
okay, this isn't what you were saying. I'm asking, I'm not trying to draw an implication from that. I'm asking genuinely. Do you not like hostels as much?
Okay.
Be honest.
I
have
like
an opinion on this.
hostels. I like hostels because that's why I did the AT, was because it's known as like the community like party trail. And I think I was really trying to find that part of myself like in life at that point, especially after COVID, like, and not really seeing another human soul for like months and months and like not having that connection. So in 21, I for sure wanted to do that. But then it was like after meeting my partner and then him and I hiking together for like the longest time, you know, it was more like we were a couple then, and it wasn't like me just kind of like going out and doing my own thing. So it was like we kind of just had to like see what was better for the relationship. And it just kind of felt like going out there and being at like a party hostel all the time was like kind of just too much. So then we would opt for like something a little bit more private. So
I prefer excuse me, I prefer hotels over hostels, honestly. I mean, I have had like some cool hostel stays, but even on the AT, I mean, I was fresh out of college. I was living in a fraternity literally like a week before I started the AT.
Oh
so it's
my
not like
gosh.
I was, you know, against partying per se. But even then, like, I don't know, it was on a thru hike, it's like, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but like, I couldn't handle it. So I preferred the quiet as well. I stayed at and I, just for everybody watching and listening, I'm not trying to just like shit on this hostel because this was in 2018. It definitely could have changed. So let's be crystal clear about that. But it was Standing Bear. Did you guys stop in there?
So I didn't. I completely like went around that one. Didn't.
I mean, it was fine. Like everyone there was nice and everything, but it was just like party vibes.
They do have new owners.
I sound
now.
like a fucking boomer saying this, Jesus Christ, but it wasn't
let the record stand. We're not opposed to partying, but when you've been hiking all day and you just want to like sleep, it's not great all the time.
But so Standing Bear has. I think
they do have new owners.
I don't know. I feel bad. I'm not trying to like take down
they're
a fucking business.
They're pretty like notoriously known for not being great like the past couple of years. So like I do think that they've gotten new owners now.
Okay. Yeah. Hopefully it's better. And there's other ones out there too that I mean, and if you're thru hiking, anybody watching and listening and you're like nervous about this, like you'll figure it out like, pretty quick. Like you'll hear rumors, often probably not even true shit. Like you'll figure it out. So don't like let it stress you out or anything. I'm losing my voice already. We're like 5 minutes into the first episode.
I feel like too, that's like the whole like hike your own hike thing as well, like that phrase. But it's like, you know, do what kind of makes you happy. And it's like if you meet a group of people that you really vibe with and like they're kind of maybe someone that you would hang out with in the real world, then it's like, you know, if they want to go to a hostel and you guys want to all pitch in and stay together, fine.
Of course.
But it's like, don't like, obviously get out of your comfort zone. Like that's what you're supposed to do. But like, don't be like partying all crazy if like, that's not your vibe.
Yeah. There's no pressure.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's talk about vlogging a little bit.
Okay.
So you said in 2020, you were going to be vlogging with the Trek. Yeah. Obviously COVID shut that down. Mm-hmm. And then in 2021, you started off vlogging and, I guess, why did you want to film the whole thing? I mean, plenty of people want to hike the AT, but most people don't want to film it and put it out there for everybody to see. Like, what was your motivation for vlogging?
Yeah, I mean, I really started watching like Dixie and Darwin and Julia, and I just thought it was so cool to like see like the behind the scenes kind of day in the life of like what it really takes and like what they're really doing to kind of show the reality of it. Because Instagram is one thing to like post a picture and you don't really know like how they got to that spot or like what the trail looks like. So I just wanted to show that as well. But then in 2020, because I didn't get to do it, it was kind of like, okay, do I really want to do this? You know, I didn't really have that much experience, honestly, hiking to begin with. You know, again, like I was more in the gym and kind of like running and lifting and that kind of thing. So like, honestly, being a backpacker was a completely new experience for me. And I saw that was Julia's experience too. So I'm like, oh, you know what? If she can do it, I can do this. And I really, really wanted to get out there and vlog as well. But then, you know, 2020 happened. So then 21, I got out there and I started vlogging like the first couple days. And then I quickly realized it is way too hard. Like, why are we spending all this time when we're in the tent, when we're tired and we're sore, to sit there in iMovie and sit there and like edit. Well, that's what I was going to use, but like sit there and edit all these videos and all these clips and then try to process it and then save it, you know, and then come up with a caption and tags. And then whenever you get into town, when you have signal to post it, it just seemed like it was taking up so much of the free time that like I was going to have quote unquote free time, right? Of like town chores. And it just seemed like it was becoming more of like a chore than it was, you know, going to be something to like show my story and to like show my journey. You know, I just feel like everyone uses that term, but I mean, it really is like you're walking in the woods. Like there's so many people who will never get the chance to do like what we do. And it's pretty amazing what we do or like what we did and well, what we hope to do again in the future, hopefully. Yeah. But it's like, yeah, I mean, just want to keep showing what we're doing out there, you know?
That's, so one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about the vlogging thing with you is because of the fact that you didn't kind of see it through. And I hope you don't take offense to that.
Not at all.
The reason it's interesting is because on this show, it's been talked about so much about how much work goes into vlogging a thru hike. And
oh yeah,
I tell people all the time, it's like, I vlogged my PCT hike, but I didn't edit. And so it's already enough work to go out and just do the filming and the uploading and all the other stuff that comes with it. The editing, I knew before I even started. I was like, there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to do that.
No, especially if you get fancy and you do like songs and you add music in there.
Yeah.
If you add a voiceover and you add like text to your screen and this and that, it's just like,
I don't know how people do it.
I don't know.
That I say this almost every episode of this fucking podcast,
Yeah.
but I do not understand how people do it. And you know, I've talked to Taylor, obviously, Kelly Hayes, like plenty of people I beat at who film and edit while they're out there. And I always say, like, I don't know how the hell they did it. And it's kind of vindicating to talk to someone who, not that I take pleasure in the fact that your vlog didn't work out, but it's kind of vindicating to meet somebody who tried it and was like, yeah, no, this is too much work.
No, I think like around then too, in like 2020, 21, I think like Instagram Reels, or back then I think it was still like IGTV, like it wasn't even Reels yet.
I forgot about that. Wow, that's a throwback.
So I felt like doing shorter kind of content, and this was like literally pre-YouTube Shorts too, like that wasn't a thing. So I think doing something like that was way more fun. And it's like, you can just sit there and look at the audios that are already posted on there. You don't have to sit there and like try to find non-copyrighted music. Yep. And you basically can go on there and do something like that I feel like reaches the same amount of people, if not more sometimes. Because it's not like I had a big, you know, crap ton of followers even before that, or subscribers on YouTube. Yeah. So I just think adding, you know, more organic content, or even just like on my stories, I think that was a lot better too versus YouTube.
And you could still capture like a ton of the hike, right?
Yeah.
And share like a ton of the hike. It's not like you're like super restricted like you would be if you're only posting photos. And so that makes a lot of sense. And by the way, I'm not trying to discourage anyone from vlogging. Yeah. Like just a few episodes ago, I had, have you seen I Suck at Hiking, his channel yet?
No.
He's going to be vlogging this year.
That's awesome.
And he's super ambitious with it. He's great on camera too. Yeah. So I really hope that he's able to do it. But like we talked, you know, quite a bit, even off camera about just like how much is going to go into it. And I don't know if he fully understands how much is going to go into it. And that's not anything bad about him. I think it's just hard for anyone. Yeah. I mean, I guess you probably didn't really understand it either going into it. So, but yeah, I'm not trying to discourage. You know,
for
you should still go for it. But like it's harder than I think a lot of people realize.
Yeah, I think too, like if I was going to do it now, I think I would prioritize different things first. And like in order,
what do you mean?
Like in order to have enough time to be able to vlog, or you just get faster at like doing the chores that you need to. And so it's like, I feel like now that I'm more experienced in like actual backpacking, then I would feel more confident vlogging, because like vlogging is a talent and backpacking is like athleticism and a talent. And it's like, you kind of have to like have some experience in either or to kind of like mesh them two together. And
you don't have to. It makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, for sure. So I think like now that I have multiple thousands of miles, like I feel like I would be a lot better now at doing that.
Have you thought about vlogging future hikes?
Oh, for sure.
Long ones.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
yeah, I would, but I feel like I still would probably do more like short form content of like day one on the
not
long
like
trail.
Longer YouTube videos?
Probably not. Like I just feel like maybe I'm not that like interesting. I don't know. Like, I just feel like I'm like, okay, I'm another like white chick posting on YouTube.
People,
like,
no,
I don't know.
I think you should give yourself more credit there.
Yeah.
Another thing I think that people, for some reason, not everybody, but a lot of people get sucked into the daily thing. Like I have to do it daily. And it makes sense because a lot of the most successful AT and other thru hiking vlogs were daily, but I feel like doing it weekly might be a little bit easier. That's what I did on the PCT. And again, I wasn't even editing at all. So like even weekly videos, no editing, were still like a decent amount of work, but it was manageable. But
that actually sounds better too, versus like having to set up the camera every single morning and night to like get that like influencer shot of like just rolling out of the tent. And you're like, you set that camera up. Like it just was not sitting there. Like I know that's fake, but yeah, that's probably a lot easier doing it weekly.
Did you do those shots in your videos?
Did I? Maybe. I don't know. Probably.
Let me ask you this. This is something that I've been asked about before too. It doesn't even have to be from the YouTube videos. It could be just for Instagram or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you like, or even right now maybe, because I mean, we're on camera. Like, this doesn't feel like the right way to say it, but for lack of a better word, like, do you put on like an act a little bit? I'm not saying like you're not lying, you're not deceiving, but just like, behaving maybe a little bit differently than you would off camera.
I've really tried not to, but I feel like, I mean, there's probably one person out there who has met me versus like has seen me online too. That's like, okay, she's completely different, but like, I really hope I'm not. Like, I really hope I'm the same person.
It's hard not to a little bit.
Yeah. And like, honestly too, like I feel like with my Instagram now or just even YouTube, I really try not to be like salesy, but it's like I do work with brands a lot and like the content creator to like, go out there and showcase different brands that I actually use. So it's like, of course, sometimes it might come off salesy, but I feel like hopefully it's like still an authentic salesy versus like, okay, she's completely being fake.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting. I know like for me, I mean, I guess you guys can be the judge of this if we, go to a brewery or something after this, but I think I wouldn't say I'm like different off camera, but I definitely, when I'm on camera, I definitely like talk a little bit louder and maybe smile a little bit more and maybe just exaggerate a little bit more,
Wow, that was fancy.
than I do off camera, but I don't know. It's interesting. I think I'm going to ask some other vloggers that I have on the show, like how different are you off camera versus on camera? Because I think it's a little bit hard to be the exact same.
That's true.
But that's different than being fake, obviously.
Right.
So
I agree.
I don't know. It's interesting for sure.
Yeah.
On the vlogging topic, I guess. Actually, how far into the trail did you go before you stopped making YouTube videos?
Probably, I feel like at least like Roan Highlands. I don't know why I remember that.
Decent. That's what, at least 400 miles, right?
You know what? I think it was probably, I think I stopped like right when I started hiking with Hunter.
Oh.
I think so. Not that like he was like the reason why. I just think we were so just like in the moment.
That timing is suspicious.
And I know, I think so. But and it was because like we were hiking together more. So I had less time to be by myself.
He's probably not as good on camera either.
Yeah.
Let's just shit on him because he can't speak for himself right now.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I just think it was because like I was vlogging too, because I was hiking a lot of the times like by myself too. So I had time to kind of like chit chat to my phone versus like talking to a person that was hiking with me 24/7.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. You definitely have to be. Yeah. It's interesting. I guess since you brought up Hunter, another thing I wanted to talk about was Hunter. Can you reset that for me, please? You guys met at Trail Days.
Yeah.
And that was Trail Days 2021.
Yes.
This show is slowly turning into like a drama show. I'm not gonna lie. For better or for worse. So I gotta ask you about this. We're gonna do an episode after this, so maybe we can get his opinion on
view.
what you say. But
yeah.
Tell me the story of how you guys met.
Okay, so in like 2019, 2020, we had just been like Instagram friends, just like kind of chatting here and there, but we both were in relationships, so it was very, very platonic.
Oh
I promise.
Boy! Oh
it
boy!
Was.
Let's hope your ex doesn't listen to this.
It's fine. So yes, it was very mutual. Like we were just friends because of Light AF, so the backpack company. We were both sponsored from Chris from Light AF. And we would just like geek out over like backpacks and stuff like that and just kind of like talking about the brand Light AF. And then 2020 happens. And then I think I was just searching for community of just hikers who like were no-goers who like couldn't hike anymore.
No, instead of no-go, you're no-go. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't love it.
Yeah,
It sucks, but I love the terminology.
Yeah. So like his plan the whole time was to hike in 2020 southbound. Like that was supposed to be his thing. He was going to hike in like 90 days and just like fly by because he was like super, super ultra light. That was never my plan. So I was like, oh, like we probably will never ever meet in person. It's just like we're friends through the internet. And then, you know, I was just reaching out to people like, are you hiking? Like, what's the vibe? Blah, 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 blah. And then everyone was like, oh yeah, like instead of Nobo in 2020, everyone's like, oh, let's go Sobo because at least that'll be in the summertime. At least we'll know more about this virus, blah, blah, blah. So then I didn't do Sobo in 2020. He didn't do Sobo in 2020. So we just kind of like, you know, kept up being friends, this and that. And then whenever I was going to hike in 2021, started hiking, got up to Irwin, Tennessee, and I knew that he lived in Asheville. And I was like, hey, like, you know, I'm looking for a ride to Trail Days because I'm not in Damascus yet. Like I'm slow. I'm all the way over here and like pure hiker trash. I'm just like, hey, can you give me a hitch to Trail Days?
Yeah.
And he did. And that's kind of how we met from, what was even that place? Raft USA in Irwin. So like not like right by Uncle Johnny's hostel. Because again, didn't really vibe with Uncle Johnny. So then I went across the street to Raft USA so I could have my own bed and not a bunk. Yeah. And then he came and he picked me up and then took me to Trail Days and we had a great weekend. So
damn, that's so funny.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so you guys kind of met through Light AF.
Yeah.
I'm setting you up for a really bad joke.
Oh, yeah.
That might have been one you've heard before, depending on how many people you've told this story. So would you say that Light AF could potentially change their name to Love AF?
Yeah, probably.
That's going to do it, folks. Thanks for tuning in. No,
yeah, totally true. That definitely is what happened.
That's funny. How long after Trail Days until you guys started dating?
I'm
really digging in.
That's kind of like still kind of like our.
That's a loaded question. You're sorry. That's hard. It's like when.
So like, okay. So then he hiked with me like a couple days after that. And then he's like making signs at me. Are you trying to get like our story correct? What's happening? Drama show. No. So then he was still working. So he was not on trail by this point. I fully was like on trail through hiking. I already had a couple 100 miles. Like I was in it. So he goes back to Asheville and he was working at Verizon and I was still on trail. I got to Hampton, Tennessee. So only like a couple days later after Irwin and I sprained my ankle. And I was at Hampton, Tennessee, Boots Off Hostel. I was there for 10 days because I was like so injured. And since he was here in Asheville, he came up there like every night to come bring me food. And I was like, yeah, this guy's really nice. And so he basically put in a leave of absence from his job. And then like that next week he was on trail full time with me. Yeah. Like massive pink blaze for sure.
That is like the pink blaze of the century, dude.
Yeah.
That's a hardcore. You're not even on trail and then you get on trail. That is so funny.
Yeah. And then, then his whole thing was like, yeah, I'm just going to start like north and then maybe I'll like try to hurry up and catch you. And I'm like, you know, that's not what you're going to do. You're going to literally just get on trail right where I am. And that's what he did. Yeah. So it basically was like Hampton, Tennessee, all the way to Maine with me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So a good chunk.
Yeah.
Damn.
Real good chunk.
So was it difficult for you? Probably not. I don't know. Was it difficult to go from like kind of like solo through hike a decent ways in?
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure at that point you were relatively comfortable being out there by yourself. And I'm sure you're hiking with other people, but you know, it's not quite the same as with a romantic partner.
I love him, but yeah, the vibe like totally changed. Like, but not like
you made it sound bad.
Not for bad or for good. Like it was just different.
We're gonna ruin a relationship on this. No, just kidding.
We still had fun. Like, don't get me wrong, but like it is different. It's different versus doing it solo, completely solo, and like doing your own thing. Not even saying like looking for other people, like not even like that. Just like making your own decisions, like what's best for you. Kind of being selfish, because like I mean, you're spending thousands of dollars to be out there. This is your goal. I hadn't even met this person in person when I even got out on trail. So like, why am I letting him like decide our whole thing? Yeah. So it was, but then the vibe, like it changes because it has to, because you go from being solo / selfish of like, what do you want to do, to now you're in a couple to like, what's best for the team? Like what's best for us? And I mean, the positives, yeah, like now we are a team. Like he can boil the water while I put on the tent, or like vice versa. And like, you know, you split things and it became a lot easier, I would say.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Let's get into like the thru hiking as a couple thing a little bit, because this is something that hasn't really been talked about too much on the show, and something I don't really have any experience with. Yeah. Although I would like to in the future. And so I'm really curious about this. I guess let's start with, so you mentioned some of the good things there. What are maybe some of the other like positives you can think of when it comes to like, and I'm talking like thru hiking with a couple, too, not just like a weekend backpacking trip. No, and some of the stuff I'm sure there's crossover, but a long hike like this is obviously a whole different beast.
Yeah,
so.
I would say too, like splitting chores, of course, like I mentioned, but chores like in town too, like, hey, let's go do our laundry while you go grab some resupply.
Oh, that is smart,
and then you kind of like get it done quicker. And just splitting the cost of things was way easier. And again, I probably would have not been as platinum blazer as I was, as far as like, you know, picking the Hilton over the hostel and staying in places like that, because it was easier. Like we could split things now. You know, it's safer. Like, you know, my mom was always so worried, oh, you're going by yourself. But like, you know, having him with me, like hitchhikes were better, like just being a little bit safer. And this doesn't have to be like, oh, just a man and a woman type scenario. Just even like having another person with you is better. So yeah, it just felt safer. Getting in town was easier to kind of knock things out like quicker.
Okay. How about some of the bad stuff? And again, I feel like this, you know, a lot of this stuff too, I think could apply to just like normal hiking partners, kind of how you just alluded to there with hitchhiking. Doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic partner, but since we're, you know, kind of framing it that way here, what are some of maybe the drawbacks to hiking with a romantic partner? Yeah. Because I can imagine, you know, I've never done that, but I have hiked with, I hiked, you know, all of the PCT pretty much with Flossie, which I got to be careful here. There's no romance there. Oh, this is going to be such a good episode.
No, but it's true. Like even hiking with a best friend or something, like even hiking with like your father, your mother, your sibling, like
anybody,
you're spending that much time together in the woods. Like things are not always going to be perfect. Just like the real world, people have arguments. And now instead of like having separate rooms to go into, you're in the same tent with them and you have to like,
that's a whole nother level.
Yeah. And then like, you're not showering for weeks. No, just kidding. We were actually really clean. Love was still alive on the trail. And so it was like, you know, now you're in the same tent with them. So it's not like you can go into like the living room to sleep on the couch. If you get
or
into
set
an
up your
argument.
tent, you know, 30 yards away from them if you need a break or whatever, which I don't even think that's ever happened with Flossie and I, but basically this is the only somewhat even close thing I have to compare to. And like, you know, and Flossie and I were like perfect hiking partners, same pace, like same goals, everything, which a lot of the time, you know, if those things are different, then it's going to be even harder. Yeah. But even, you know, those important things aligned and, you know, we're just like really good friends and everything, you know, no matter who it is, like there's always going to be like some drawbacks there. I actually never thought about that tent thing. I'm glad we didn't have to share a tent. I'm sure he's even gladder because I stink, but.
Yeah, I think like the first thing that comes to mind too is kind of like having different plans. Like I feel like for me, I was really wanting that community aspect too. And I, of course, since 2020 had this, I guess, pipe dream of having this like amazing tramily, the trail family, and to like literally become so close with these people and hike with them the entire way, because I thought via YouTube, like that was a thing. Like people really met at the very beginning and hiked together the entire 6 months. And then that really doesn't happen. Like you meet multiple groups of people and you kind of like vibe with them for a little bit and then they split up. Like, is it true that people probably started in Georgia and then they made it together all the way in Maine? Sure. But that's a little bit more rare. Right. And so for me, I was just always like, oh, like, let's meet this group of people. Oh, because I'm really extroverted, want to hang out with everyone. I was hiking the AT for community. And then it became like now a relationship, hiking the AT together. And so of course, like, you know, sometimes my plan or idea of like jumping off the trail and going to this water park in, where were we? Richmond, Virginia, which we did do. But then later we're like, yeah, I think we're going to stay to ourselves for a little bit. But it was like, you know, just I was more quick to jump and do what the group was doing or like what the trail family that we were hanging with for that week. I was quick to hang out with them versus he was just like, let's just keep going because I don't really care about these people. And then it quickly turned to like, okay, yeah, they're kind of weird. So then we wouldn't anymore.
Geez.
Yeah.
Talking shit about the tramley. I love it, dude.
Yeah.
Tramley. We're getting all the drama.
I know. I love it.
I'm telling you, that's what this show is turning into.
Yay.
I'm here for it. When you guys were, I'm assuming you're camping together every night if you're sharing a tent.
Yeah.
What about during the day when you were literally, hiking?
Yeah.
Would you guys hike together a lot? Would you kind of go at your own paces sometimes throughout the day? How did you guys handle that?
Yeah, we were together the whole time. Like, I mean,
even walking.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, we would. Like, we had a lot of other kind of couple friends. Like, we were in like a trio couple tramily for a little bit, and that was like the best time we ever had because like they got it. Like, it was 2 other couples plus us,
wow,
so 3.
Wow.
And they were, I think the other 2 were married, or the other 2 were married, but then the other 2 were like been together like high school sweethearts like for years and years. Wow. And then here we are, literally freshmen in our relationship, like actively still trying to figure each other out. And that was the most fun that we ever had because of like, we kind of learned from them, and even they would all hike together too. I mean, even if we were arguing, like we were still hiking together, it would just be quiet.
Wow.
Yeah. It never really became like, hey, you go hike up a mile and I'll catch up to you. It like, we were with each other the whole time.
That's surprising.
Yeah.
And also hearing you talk about like how you're with these other couples and they had been together for a while and you guys are brand new. It's just blowing my mind. Like, I can't imagine like the start of a relationship being on a through hike, basically, which I mean, that happens like every year, like couples form on trail.
We know like 2 other couples. Yeah, we do. We know 2 other couples, not even the 2 that I was just talking about. So 2 completely separate couples now that are married, and they met and got together the same year that we did.
Interesting.
AKA, hurry up. I'm just kidding.
I'm
just kidding.
I don't think she's kidding. I've always, this is going to be so good. I've always, the people, I guess you guys are a little different because you didn't like meet on trail per se, but like the beginning of your relationship essentially was hiking together.
Yeah.
What a way to start. I always wonder, like, do these couples make it? Because, being on trail is one thing, but then getting thrown into the real world together, a whole different set of stress. On one hand, it's like the trail is like there's a lot of hardship. And so like, if you can make it through that, then what can't you make it through? But on the other hand, the real world has a whole different set of, challenges.
I definitely would say that trail life was way easier for us. Yeah. I feel like just the real world of just like jobs and 9-to-5s and like dishes and just laundry. Well, I guess you have to do laundry both, but like
it's different though.
Like cleaning a house, and like now we have a dog, and like I have 2 cats, and it's just like, I feel like whenever you're on trail, all you have to really focus on is just walking forward, and it like makes everything else seem so small. But when you're on trail or on like in real life, you forget about that. And I mean, that's why I'm so excited to sit here and chat about trail with you too. Like I told you earlier, it's just like, we never even talk about it that much ourselves. Like, you would think that after trail life, you would sit there in the real world and be like, hey babe, remember when we hiked over whatever in New Hampshire? And it's like, it doesn't come up like really ever. And it's sad. Yeah. Like, cause it's like the real world just like completely consumes you.
Yeah.
And you like forget about all this cool stuff that you did.
Yeah. Wow.
It's kind of sad.
Yeah. This is so fascinating. This is something that really hasn't been talked about much on the show. I appreciate you like being so open with this stuff. If you want me to stop prying, then just say the words. But another question I have, it's like, maybe this is a bit of a loaded question too, but how did you guys not get sick of each other hiking? If you're literally hiking, right behind each other, right next to each other all day, every day for months, how do you not get sick of each other?
I have no idea.
Did you get sick of each other?
I don't think so. I just feel like it is a little bit of a break too, because you're living out the dream that you've had planned for a long time, and it is still exciting. So you kind of just try to find the positives in it versus like, okay, his footsteps behind me are annoying. And I mean, and we listen to music too, and we kind of like bonded over music and just kind of like I would share one ear pod and he would have the other ear
Oh,
pod.
interesting.
So we're like actively listening to the same thing, but like doing our own footsteps and like looking at our own stuff. And it just kind of was just a routine. And I think that, in the real world too, it's like how you don't get sick of somebody too. It's like you kind of get lost in your own routine. And so still, since we were together the whole time, it still felt like we had like our individual routines. Like he still did stuff differently than I did for like getting up in the morning or changing or what have you. So it just kind of just felt like a routine. And it was just like, this is what we're doing every day.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, clearly you guys did something right, given you're still together. So
yeah,
I applaud that. That's super cool. So how about some of like the gear considerations? Because you mentioned like you're sharing like some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What were you guys sharing? Like, how did you like split up the gear? And also I'm curious, especially with you specifically, because you were by yourself before he got out there. So did you have to get like different gear? Did you already have like a 2-person tent? Like, how did that all work?
So again, I'm like comfort light. So I'm not fully ultralight. Like I was a 1-person, but I had a 2-person tent.
Okay.
So Hunter was, like super ultralight. He had like a tarp and a bivvy, and that thing never came out once. He still like hiked with it. I think just in case he ever needed it, like as like a backup. But we camped, like we set up my tent the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he would carry my tent poles, and then I would carry just like my tent, and then I had like my Jetboil and all that kind of stuff. So as far as like who won in this situation, it was him, because he was super ultralight. He was a cold soaker, and he meets me, who was like definitely not a cold soaker, liked hot meals every single day, who liked coffee in the morning, and that's what we did. So we didn't have like a double pad or anything like that. I still had my single pad. He had his single pad.
Mm-hmm.
We both had our own quilts and all that stuff too. So nothing was really 2-person or meant for like double, except for my tent. And that was just because I like extra space.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Did he convert you into a cold soaker?
No.
Good.
Gross.
Good.
No.
I don't understand how people do that shit.
No, me neither.
It makes no sense to me. I can't even eat backpacking food hot anymore, basically. Like, let alone cold. Like,
yeah.
No way.
No.
Ugh, absolutely disgusting. Okay, changing topics a little bit. So you've talked a little bit about Instagram. You have a pretty big following there. I guess that's your primary like social media platform where most people would know you from.
Yeah.
So this is most people listening probably don't give a shit about this. I'm gonna be honest, but this is the world that we live in. So I gotta ask.
Yeah.
A lot of people cringe at the term influencer. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about being called an influencer?
Am I called an influencer?
I don't know. You got a public profile. You have a lot of followers. You're doing brand deals.
I think
and stuff.
that word is kind of cringy, but like I don't care. Like if that's what you want to call me, fine. Like I feel like having influence is like it's kind of like a role model maybe to somebody. And that kind of sounds cringy too now that I'm saying it. But it's like maybe you inspire people, maybe you motivate people. Like instead of influence, like maybe motivation. Like I'd rather have that spin instead of like trying to be salesy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's a good way to put it. It's funny. Like I feel like every person, I at first I was like, no, like I'm not going to use that term, but now it's just for lack of a better word. But like, I don't know if it's cringier to call yourself an influencer or to be that guy that's like, oh, like, don't call me like I'm not an influencer. Like I hate that word. Like
sure,
you
like
hear that from people all the time too. I've
right.
definitely said that before. Like it's like, I don't know. That was just something that came to mind because like deep down, I hate it. It sounds just like pretentious, but also like at this point, I don't know. I don't want to be that guy.
You have experience in the niche. I feel like that word is kind of cringy too, but like in the niche that you're talking about, you have experience. So I think somebody who is like looking on YouTube who has the dream of doing and even 2 miles that you have done or even 2 miles that I have done, they want people. Like, who are you going to believe? Someone who's never done anything like this, just sitting there on the couch talking about whatever, or someone who's actually gotten up and done this kind of thing and has actual experience to talk about. So say influencer or not, like you still have experience in it. So I feel like that has value.
Yeah. That's a good way to think about it. Okay. People are sick of, we've already said influencer way too many times. Yeah. So see, I can't help it. Like it makes me cringe, but then I also, it's cringe to be the guy that's like, oh, like influencers cringe. It's a losing battle.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's talk about the Lone Star Trail a little bit.
Okay.
I don't know much about this trail. I
Yeah.
know it's like 100 miles in Texas, and I know that people love to shit on it. People say it sucks.
I hate that. That's so sad.
So, and I know your experience on it
Yeah.
was a little bit different because you were going for an FKT.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are your thoughts on the Lone Star Trail?
Yeah. So I've done it a full time once with my friend Kayla Bold. Her trail name is Nuggets.
Before or after
so
the
I
FKT?
had already done it one time.
Oh, I didn't know
yeah,
that.
so I
Okay,
did
okay.
it
Oh, you're a great person to ask this
in
question.
2020 or 21. Did it and loved it. It was so fun. It took like 4 days. Like we were like hanging out, having a blast. And then in 22, so yeah, last year, we went back out there because Hunter's family lives in Houston.
Okay.
And so the trail goes through the Sam Houston like National Forest or forest. And
East Texas, right?
yes. Yeah. And the trail goes east to west. And so it's about 96 point whatever miles. And so I was going to go for an FKT, fastest known time. So I was doing it I was doing it self-supported. So like through hiker style, like I had my own food and everything. And I think the current is probably different now. I think the time to beat, if you will, at that time was like 2 days. And I was like, oh, bet, like I got this. And so I did the first 45 miles the first day. And then I woke up that next day and I did 22. And the plan was to just finish that day.
Yeah.
So it would have been like a day and a half, basically. Everything was going good, was feeling good. It goes through the San Jacinto River and it gets pretty flooded out there. And it had rained that whole entire week. But I was like, no, I think it'll be fine. It'll be fine. So this was at like mile 72. So I still had like another like maybe marathon after I crossed that. Came up to it and it was like 35 feet deep.
I remember this now. I remember seeing your shit on Instagram about this. Yeah.
So I was like, are you kidding me? Like I hiked 72 something miles to get to this one river crossing. It was 30 feet deep. I was by myself and I had on like my backpack, everything. I had my electronics in my bag and I had a tent and everything because that night I had camped out at this campground. And so I had like two options. One, just send it and go through it, but it was moving pretty quickly. And there's like no cables or anything to like shimmy your way across it. And I'm like, I don't think that's very safe, like by myself. And plus I was like super sore, like duh, I just hiked 72 miles. So I was like, okay, that's probably not the smartest decision.
No.
So there was another way around it and in typical hiker form. So it was 3 miles to go around it. No, I was not about to do those 3 miles.
Yeah.
There was no way. So technically by like the FKT standards, if I would have went around those, like did like the detour and then got back on trail, technically since that wasn't part of the trail, it might have not been okay, but they had already had somebody like try to do that before. So they had already approved that detour.
Oh, okay.
So it would have been fine if I would have done that, but I didn't want to, like straight up, like I didn't want to do those extra 3 miles. So I pulled the plug.
Do you stand by that to this day or do you have any regret about it?
No, I don't regret it. Like the trail's always there.
Yeah.
I mean, again, like I learned so much in 2020. So like it was fun. Like it was a huge training run, like 72 miles and like, a day-ish. Like that was still amazing.
Yeah.
That was like the biggest, like, miles to the state. But no, I'll do it again. Maybe I'll have to check and see like what it is now. Comment below
Yeah.
if you know what it is for females. But yeah, I would love to do it again. The trail, like it's definitely flat. There are these like little gullies that you kind of have to like.
Sorry.
It's
Can
okay.
you reset it one more time?
So there are.
We don't have to worry about it after this one. Thank you, Hunter. Sorry, Jessica.
So the trail is flat. But there is like these kind of like gullies that you have to go in and out of, like little like riverbed crossings. So it does kind of wear on you after a while, especially after like, 40 something miles of like going into this gully, then like out of it. It kind of sucks, but it was fun. I mean, it's a mix of trail and some road walking. Of course, I feel like everyone like shits on like the road walking. Again, I'm a road runner, so I'm like, yes, please give me the road.
Okay.
Yeah. So like,
I guess you'd probably like the Florida Trail then too. My understanding is there's a lot of, and I know I've never done any of it.
Yeah.
I know you've done some of it. So
yeah, I love it. My favorite part is kind of like an offshoot of the Florida Trail, kind of like switching gears here from the Lone Star, but
don't tell me, is it the ocean to sea?
Lake.
No, ocean to lake.
Yeah.
Ocean to sea. Fuck.
Ocean to sea. You just
I
do a
almost
big
had it.
loop.
Yeah, I've heard that's
Yeah.
I've heard that's cool.
Yeah, ocean to lake. So it's from Lake Okeechobee, which is like such a nasty lake. It's not great. So yeah, Lake Okeechobee. It actually, that's the reason why there is like red tide. You know what red tide is?
Nope.
Which like it's like an algae that like kills out all the
Ooh.
fish. It's not great. So it kind of comes from Lake Okeechobee. So
Really?
they need to fix it. So from Lake O to the ocean. And it's like 63 miles, basically like a 100K. So I would love to go back out there and try to run that in one shoot. That would be fun.
Yeah, I've like, I don't know much about it clearly, but I have heard that trail, that like offshoot. It's not officially part of the Florida Trail, is it? But it's still Florida Trail Association.
Exactly. So the
maintains
FTA like manages so many trails out there. Like even in, I think it's called like the Croom Wilderness, which is like out in Tampa, which is like not even close to like the official FTA, like the official Florida Trail.
Yep.
But they manage some of that too. So some of that actually has orange blazes, and you're like, wait, I'm not even close to being in Central Florida. So the Florida Trail goes right through Central Florida. So yeah, same thing. It's like a part of the Florida Trail, but it's not.
See, my opinion on the Florida Trail, not my opinion on it, my opinion about potentially doing it has slowly changed. Traditionally, I was always like, hell no.
Yeah.
I still don't think I would do the full thing, but I am. Before I was like, I don't even want to do a section. I don't even want to. If I ever see an orange blaze, I'm selling all my gear. No, that's dramatic. But I was like, I had no interest in it at all. And after talking to a lot of people on this show, and especially after watching Kelly Hayes' vlogs, when she did the Florida Trail, I guess it was early 20, maybe late 2020.
Was it this year?
I think it was early this year.
Yeah,
actually.
she did do it this year.
Like winter, like January, February-ish maybe.
Yeah, people, I mean, you can start as early as Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
That trail, just because it's Florida. But I mean, it is Florida, so you wouldn't think that it gets that cold. It does get pretty cold.
Yeah. I learned
wet,
that from watching
cold.
her videos. Yeah. But I can deal with that. I'd rather deal with that than the heat. But anyways,
true.
like my opinion is slowly evolving. Yeah. Again, I don't think I'll ever do the whole thing, but I am definitely interested in doing like a section now. Yeah. And it seems like the not the ocean to sea, the ocean to lake trail seems like that'd be a good like introduction to Florida hiking. So maybe. Is there swamp on it?
Yeah.
Or sorry, like swamp as in you're walking through like
your
water
feet
and stuff.
will get wet. Your hips will get wet. You almost have like chest high, even especially on the ocean to lake. Yeah, it gets really, really wet. Another recommendation would be the Swanee River section. Okay. That one's closer to us. That one's like North Florida. Like you go to Jacksonville and it's like an hour west.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God, and it's beautiful. Like that one actually has some elevation. Like that area has the most elevation on the entire trail. And like the hikers, whenever they get up there, they're like, wait a minute, there's hills on the Florida Trail. Never knew, but there's like some pretty gnarly little climbs out there. Yeah, we did a 50K there from Run Bum races out in the Swanee River area last November, and it was so fun. Yeah, I love that. That section's so fun.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
Like I said, Kelly's videos really like just gave me a new perspective because it looked like she had so much fun. She did have so much fun. I mean, I've talked to her about it like on her hike. And
see that trail if/when, because I would love to do that trail. Like that's home. Like I would love to get back out there. That would be a trail I would love to vlog like the whole thing as much as I could, because I just feel like there's not that much information out there. I mean, like again, like Dixie,
you can change people's minds.
I know.
Because like, I mean, I feel like the Florida Trail, it's like you either like really love it or you just fucking hate it. Like kind of like I did, even though you don't know anything about it. Like I feel like it kind of gets a bad rap. Yeah. I mean, and let's be honest. I mean, hiking in Florida, like, you know, it's understandable that people might be a little skeptical of that, but it does seem like it's it's not
beautiful.
as bad.
It's beautiful, like the like mangrove areas that you go through and like the different like flora and fauna. I'm not going to try to sound real smart because I'm not on that subject, but it's like it is beautiful, and like the type of wildlife that you see out there, the cranes, so many things are like endangered that like are home in Florida. That I mean, it's amazing. I mean, of course, watch out for snakes because you see
that's what scares me about the swamps,
Yeah.
like the water moccasins, dude. Like people that listen to the show know I hate snakes, but like, or you know, dangerous snakes, I should say. But that
which
scares
you should,
me.
yeah, you definitely
that scares me. Like like you can't even see. Like and the alligator thing, maybe a little bit.
So
but honestly, it's the water moccasins.
The only time you're really gonna see alligators is like the very first mile or like the very first area. What is even the name of the start? I totally forget now, but it's down in the Everglades, down at like the southern terminus. And it is at like a little kind of like touristy kind of area.
Mhm.
And so of course they put all the alligators
Oh.
right there. And so people think like, oh my gosh, like these alligators are like just walking on the trail, like in the middle of the woods. If there's not a body of water right next to it, like, I mean, I'm sure an alligator has found its way from a body of water to the trail, but like, it's not likely. You're not going to just be setting up your camp and then all of a sudden there's an alligator.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not like
fair.
a bear.
There's cougars down there too in southern
Yeah.
Florida, right?
Oh yeah.
Is it common?
Is
Or,
it-
again, I know you're not
Is
like
it
the
pumas too?
or
like
yeah,
there's
they call them something. Florida Panthers, I guess they call
Panthers.
them.
Yeah. They're
I wonder
are
if
out
Florida
there.
Trail hikers comment someone if
Yeah.
you've been on the Florida Trail and you've seen one of those things. That's a little.
In the very beginning too, like the Seminole like reservation, like Indian can't like area, like preservation, I've seen there's been people who've said that they've seen them like running around through there because it's very like a preserved area.
Mhm.
So they do kind of roam free in there. But and actually in Central Florida, it's not like Carol Baskin, not like actual Tiger King, but it is like a reservation like that. And she does have big cats, but they're behind a fence.
Oh,
And the
okay.
trail goes right behind her house.
I'm fine with that as long as there's a fence.
Yeah, but it's like, it's crazy. Like it goes right through there.
Damn.
And there are big cats.
That's interesting. I did
Yeah.
not know that. Wow. Yeah. Have you seen that guy on TikTok? I don't even remember his name, but he makes videos in the Everglades at night.
Oh, yes.
You know who I'm talking about?
Yes.
I don't know his name. Someone commented, whatever.
It's insane.
That shit, I feel like just when I was starting to come around to the Florida Trail, I started watching his TikToks and
Yeah.
he's like, I'm here in the Everglades and there's a crocodile and he like fucking smacks it on the head or there's like a water moccasin. He's like, let me just pick this up.
Oh,
boink.
anacondas.
Oh yeah.
Like big.
Or the
freaking
pythons,
snake.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe it's pythons.
I think, I mean, I don't think either one of
One
us
of
really
those
know.
big
One of
ones.
us is right. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Huge,
Something, those
huge
invasive
things. Yeah,
snakes.
they're there for sure.
Yeah.
In the Everglades.
I don't love that, but
Pythons. Yeah. Where's anacondas?
enough.
Like Central America? I don't know. Whatever. Rainforest.
damn.
Amazon.
Yeah, just when and obviously that's different. You're like, no one's hiking the Florida Trail, going around yoinking snakes, but yeah, that's
God, I hope
I don't know.
not. Let's be smart.
the swamps. That's the one thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
And
the swamps
the
are
road
beautiful,
walks, the dogs on road walks scare me a
Yeah.
little bit.
There was a little bit of that on the Lone Star Trail.
I was
too,
actually going to
won't
ask you
lie.
about that, and then I forgot.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I imagine with any trail, especially, I'm not even going to say that stereotype. Any trail where there's a decent amount of road
yeah.
walking, you're probably
Like
gonna
I've
have
heard like
that.
on the Pinhoti too, like there's like, a dog problem.
I had
Yeah.
one on the Washita Trail in Oklahoma, and that trail or in Arkansas rather, that trail doesn't even have that much road
Oh
walking.
my gosh. I've done the Eagle Rock Loop out there. It's like 30 miles,
Where
but
was-
it's in the
where's that?
Washita like National Forest.
okay.
But it's in Arkansas.
Yeah.
It's so fun. That would be one. I wonder what the FKT is on that one.
Yeah, on the Eagle. What is
Eagle
it?
Rock Loop.
I
It's
haven't
like
heard of
it's like a
that.
perfect 50K. It's like 32
okay.
something miles.
Oh wow,
It's so fun.
I'll have
And
to
like
check
the
it out.
first half it's like pretty flat and then it goes through some like kind of climbs, like some pretty big climbs. But that area gets really flooded often too.
Oh,
So that's
okay.
really scary.
Yeah.
Not good.
Anyways, I think it's this, as is always the case. When I first started the show, my thing was like, save a story for the end.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really thinking about the fact that a long form podcast is mostly just stories all the way through.
True.
And so
I still got some.
I know that's where I'm getting at basically. But every time, this is a little confession to my listeners. Like every time at the end of the episode, when I'm like, okay, it's time for the story, in the back of my mind, I'm like, you sound like an idiot because the entire episode has been stories basically.
Yeah, true.
So, anyways, I'm just gonna own it. It's time for the story.
Woo!
Are you ready for a story?
Sure.
I said that like I was gonna tell the story. No, you're gonna tell the story.
Tell me the story.
I've already told every story.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Yes.
At this point, I'm just playing the hits. I just repeat stories, but
Yeah.
that's why you're here.
I think I got two and they're kind of short.
Okay.
Okay. So I guess these are stories that like I talk about. Like if someone's like, oh, you've hiked the AT, like, tell me about your experience. I would say like one of my coolest days on trail was, so we were in the Whites. So we were in New Hampshire and Hunter leaves camp to go do his business in the woods, scoop a cat hole, all that kind of business. So he's off doing that. And all I hear is, babe, like freaking out. And I'm like, did you miss? Like, what's going on? I run over there and he is like full squat mode. And he like points up and he goes, pine marten. Do you know what those are?
No, I don't.
So they're from New Hampshire. So they're in the Mustelidae family, which is the same family as like ferrets and stoats and kingfishers. So it's basically like a fox tree cat, like the cutest little thing. And he was just, and they're super rare to see. And they basically are just like, he was up in the tree, just sitting there staring at Hunter, making this like crazy cackling noise. And he looked like he was about to like prance on top of Hunter while he's in the middle of like doing his business. And he's like, look, Pine Martin. And he's like freaking out. I'm like standing there, like leaning on Hunter as he's like doing his business. And I like look up and I see this cute little Pine Martin thing. And I start taking pictures and I totally forget that here's Hunter just like in the middle of taking a shit in the woods.
I would never take a shit in front of my girlfriend now, and we've been together longer than you guys had been together at that point, so that's impressive. I guess trail is a little bit different, but still.
Oh, definitely. So yeah, we love like Pine Martins and like stoats and like cute.
I've never heard of I mean, that's my neck of the woods too. Yeah. That's where, like, you know, I'm from Vermont, I'm from the Northeast. I've hiked a ton in the Whites, and I've never heard of a Pine Martin before.
Oh my gosh, yeah, they're like on little posters, like at trailheads and stuff, like kind of when you're coming around like the ATC or AMC, whatever they call it, like those little huts, like they're like little signs everywhere, like saying like, watch out for them. Cause they're super rare to see.
Observant,
yeah.
Apparently.
They're so cute. Oh my gosh. I loved it. He was so cute.
I spent, you know, half the summer in the Whites, and I've never. Next time I'm there, I'm definitely going to be looking for it. Yeah.
They're pretty rare.
And also, let's not brush over the fact that he was taking a shit when he saw it. I mean, that's amazing.
I know. So crazy. Like, what a weird time to see like something super
No
rare.
shame, dude. I could see like, if I was in like, you know, the Northeast and I saw a mountain lion and I was taking a shit, I wouldn't even say anything. No way, dude.
No,
absolutely not. I could see like Obama like in the woods. I'd still be like,
nope.
I mean, that'd probably be pretty bad if I saw.
I don't know what he was thinking. Like, of course, if he's gonna like call me, of course I'm gonna like run over there to go see what it is. And I don't think he like realized that. And then he was like, "Wait, I'm taking a shit." And I'm like, "Yeah, but look, there's like a cute little like tree fox in the tree. Like, there's a little cat, you know."
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, what was the second story?
Okay, so the second one's not as great. So this was like a really crappy day. We were
sounded like the other day was pretty crappy
I know.
too. Boom.
Valid.
I'm on my A game today.
So we were hiking out of Rangeley, Maine, and we were going like across like Saddleback Mountain and all that stuff. And so whenever we got up to Maine, we were taking like 3 to 4 days off, like each, and we did not have enough time. Like we were already like pushing it to get up to Katahdin in time before it closed. So we should have not been taken off like 2 to 3 days in these towns, but we were so beat. Like we were exhausted. We really wanted to like relax. So we get out of Rangeley and we had been there for 2 days, and those 2 days were bright and sunny, perfect weather. And then the day that we decided to hike out and leave, it was like thundering downpour lightning. And we're like, yeah, great day to hike out. So we did. And we went up and over Saddleback in like pouring down, freezing sideways rain. It was super sketchy. And then we had to set up our tent. And then that morning we woke up and we were like completely flooded. Like everything was completely soaked. And that really, really sucked.
Yeah, that's no good. I feel like that's an AT rite of passage almost. Especially in Maine.
I'm glad we got our rite of passage at the end.
Yeah, actually. I guess that's true.
I hated it. That sucks.
That should happen, especially in the Northeast. I mean, it could happen anywhere on the trail, let's be honest, but especially in the Northeast.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely proud of us for like pushing through, but we were with like 2 or 3 other people, and we were all looking at each other when we're at the peak, like, what the hell are we doing? Why are we out here? It was just one of those moments where we all clicked and we're like, why are we like crazy right now doing this? But we did it and everyone was fine, but probably not like the safest decision ever.
No.
You live and you learn.
Yeah, you do.
I don't know. Yes.
Hopefully you live.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jessika, thank you for doing this. This was an awesome episode.
This was super
good.
Hopefully not too much tea. I don't know.
No. I really appreciate you like being open about, especially about the relationship stuff. Because we didn't really plan any of this for everybody listening and watching and stuff. No, this was great. So where can people go follow you, plug all your stuff? And I'll link it all in the description and show notes.
For sure. So my Instagram, I just changed it not too long ago. It was Taps and Trail, but now it's just my name at Jessika Poppe. So Poppe is my last name. That's how you say it, is Poppe. So you did a good job. And then YouTube as well, Jessika Poppe. So Jessika.
Cool.
Yeah, that's
all right. Let's do another one at Trail Days.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah. Thank you for watching and listening, everybody. And that was a good episode. You got to subscribe for that. Come on. If you're not subscribed, we got to get this channel to like, I don't know, 10,000. That's a way. We're not even halfway there, but 10,000 subscribers. We're going for it. And we're going for 1,000 5-star reviews on both Apple and Spotify. Not combined, not 500 each, 1,000 on each. We got a lot of work to do. So please go leave a 5-star review. And I appreciate all of you. And let me know how you like these in-person episodes. That's going to do it. Thank you, everybody. That was fucking awesome.